And welcome back, everybody. We are back again for the second half of the season, mid-season premiere of Power Book 2 Ghost. This episode, Good versus Evil. It's Nigerian Lucas here. Cannot wait to get into episode 6. It's been a couple of months off. I don't know. I feel like an eternity, but we're finally back to
2 months, a year. It's been a year since this show went on break.
The power is back. It was good to hear the theme. It was good to hear my man Joe back on the theme, and we're here to break it down. This is the first time checking this out. We like to give our thoughts and analysis of each and every episode, trying to get really deep into it as we try to really give like an intellectual perspective about the show. We don't really go on the hot takes as a lot of people like to talk about and do. We just really try to put things into perspective, talking storylines, and really give our graces about the good writing of the show. So that's just that. But I gotta start the show by saying my man 2-Bit is free, and there's two things to make about this. Courtney Kemp always said,
"Hey, I'm about to say, hey, Courtney ain't keeping 2-Bit
where I'm going. Yo, that was my
exactly. You know one character that ain't getting. You knew one character that would make the transition to Ghost book power. You knew one character that was going to make that transition. It was going to be 2-Bit.
He might be in everyone. In case y'all don't know, Courtney Kemp and the actor who plays 2-Bit are dating. So he has that Game Shark, that Game Gene, that Iron Clown contract where he's never going nowhere. And she liked to like it's funny how she tried to be like, well, if a character didn't ever get a bullet, there's a chance he could come back. Well, sure, that may be true and all, but like 2-Bit's a special case. He's always going to be good. So
and he was supposed to be in jail forever. So she like, nah, we're gonna find a way to get my baby out of jail and back on this show. That's what we're gonna do.
And he's a hell of an actor, so I can't even be mad at that. But like it is funny when you could just tell, like, you know what? There's gonna be some special privileges for this character, but I'm a huge fan of him because I like that the character stayed consistent. He's a street dude. He continued to be a street dude at all times. I think he's really passionate about the delivery and some of the things he say, and the fact that even in this episode where we've seen Sachs and McClane put him on up on the witness stand, he ain't a snitch. He kept it street. He did what he had to do, and now he's out. So, Lucas, let's just start off really quick talking about that. Now, I don't know if some of you all picked this up, but obviously we did. But when they brought Tommy's picture up there and they, say Tommy, big drug lord who ran Queens, but also all moving product in all the 5 bureaus, which that's that. But if you go a little bit later in the episode, well, Kane also said to Monet that we have Queens on lock. Now, if you can put 2 and 2 together here, Tommy is out of Queens, as we know, he's going somewhere. And it's very, I mean, if you didn't know, but they also said in this episode, we now, stated that 2-Bit was in Tommy's organization in Queens. Now that he's out, where do you see this going, dude?
We have been waiting since I want to say the second episode of this season to find out exactly where Monet and them were located, because we kind of saw the way Tommy and Ghost operated and the sections they had in New York. And it was always like, well, why didn't these two crews ever meet up? And now we kind of get the reason why by Kane saying that we now have Queens on lock. So it's one telling us that was an area that they knew better than to step into. But now that they are stepped into it because of the vacuum of Tommy being gone, that they feel they have it on lock. But now you're going to have a bigger issue as one of Tommy's muscles is now back on the street. With him being back on the street, one thing about 2-Bit, 2-Bit was never the loose cannon that Kane is.
Not at all.
2-Bit was always, while Spanky, I think I'm saying his name right, my boy who got shot in the head at the end of the season, but Spank was more of the wild card. 2-Bit kind of thought things out before he did it. So to have somebody who is a street dude like him, who thinks versus someone like Kane who doesn't, as we see later on in this episode, I think we're going to get something with them too. Because again, as you said, they made the mistake of getting 2-Bit out of jail, thinking that he would help their case and completely forgetting the person that 2-Bit is.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the other thing I want to add really quick too. I knew for me, I mean, the first half of the season, they always, when they talk about their system and the money they made and whatever, we never knew exactly what it was because it was never shown. Now that we know that they're selling pills, we see that we seen a package get delivered to not Zeke, what's his name? Drew's boyfriend, whatever his name is.
Everett.
Yeah, Everett. Thank you. As you seen, he got a package from the app, which was with pills, and then we knew that they had bricks and weed because we seen Diana and Drew, supposedly getting things together, but Drew could not wait to get back to his boyfriend as
his boo
thing. He put his phone up like he was a crazy person. But here's the thing too. Talking about people always getting mad about something. I already know people are going to get mad because they had a sex scene again. But like, come on now. You have to understand the chemistry between the two people and how Drew is just obsessed with this person despite everything. Monet said, "Do not leave. Do not touch your phone." Everett messaged him a billion times. He finally caved in, ran over to him, was playing some Gran Turismo, just chilling in his apartment, doing all that other good stuff because he cares about the person. And of course they were going to have sex because that's what they do. The question is for me is like, not that. How are everybody just running on and off campus all willy-nilly? I just don't get that.
First, we'll bring up, if you have an issue with them two having sex, you must have never seen an episode of Power. Everybody has sex on Power. Like, it doesn't matter that this is the first 4 year into the community and they're having sexual relationships on Power. If that bothers you, you got to look deep inside yourself, because you ain't had no issue with the millions upon millions upon millions of sex scene Ghost gave you in 6 seasons. You should be fine here. Yeah. I'm assuming that everyone is just stealing student IDs, because you just can't get on campus and just walk on and not have an issue. Like, this is almost equivalent. So I just don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know if they got them Jones just laying out at the front of the school for when they come in and like, hey, pick up an ID before you go in so you'll be safe. Like, because everybody has run on this campus so far this year. It's like when everybody was running in the truth and no one paid it. And you're like, this makes no sense. That's how this school is at this point. We've had Diana to jump on campus. Drew. I don't know why.
Kane. I mean,
Kane in this episode jumping on campus. It's like I'm waiting for just a random. Hold up, Sax. Didn't Sax jump on campus?
Yeah, and Riley comes through all the time now.
This, for an expensive school, this is the most unsecured location in New York. So I mean, it makes it. I guess it makes the story go by. It's one of those things in Power where you don't want them to overly explain things. You just want to get into it and get involved in it. And it's highly important to do when you have a setting like a school. You don't want to then bring up, hey, you're supposed to have permission to get on campus. You're supposed to do this to get on campus. And they're like, no, we just go along with it. It'll help push everything, because these relationships are clearly important. I mean, between Drew and Everett's situation, like, if he couldn't get on campus, we would have a lot of questions here.
That's true. I guess for me and you as well. Just being a college student, you just realize those difficult
in college. It ain't this easy. I don't know how to
Yeah,
television show. They like, man, look here. We find parking everywhere in 3 minutes. You're not gonna come to us about getting on campus easily.
So let's talk about Kane. Kane is a hothead. We've known about it. Now it is transparent as day. Throughout this entire episode, Kane just doing hothead stuff. First thing is starting off in the beginning where Monet says to Diana and Drew about being in bed with, or however she stated, about being in bed with somebody. And obviously she's talking to Drew about Everett. But Diana is also really suspect in this too, because everyone knows that there may be something going on there. But Kane just completely bypassed Drew and strictly looked at Diana, was just like, oh, so you're sleeping with Tariq? You can't be doing that. I'm your big brother, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Even though he was all loud and wrong, but that immediately triggered him to go onto campus to look for Tariq. Go on to campus looking for Tariq. He find Brayden and Trace acting up. Obviously, we know Trace, took the product last episode. I'm about to say last season, but last episode, and he ended up with whatever this boy is that's making the money short. Brayden is, first of all, we gotta give a lot of respect to Brayden because he's truly about that life as it seems. But Kane doesn't care. Kane pointing the gun at everybody. It's like, you know what? Y'all think y'all drug dealers, then come ride with me. So he puts them both on the block as corner boys. And, for me, first of all, Brayden's personality didn't really suffice with his duty. It didn't seem like he can uphold his. I mean, Trace was a no-brainer. I already knew that was dead. Everyone knew it was dead in water.
Mm-hmm.
Brayden, as Brayden says, like, he's a people person. He knows how to deal with people. And we've seen Brayden. So did the three dudes on the block. First of all, I'm sorry. Nothing ever is going to make me convince me that Brayden, a white boy, went into Queens with a bag of product, smoked the J with these guys, a bag of product, and had people come down and wasn't robbed and had people come through like a conveyor belt. So I'm just not so. But I will say that it does build good character for him. I guess it's a really, really unrealistic way of doing so. But it's weird because Kane seemed to have had respect for him. So the question to you now is, Kane's not really fond of Tariq, but it seems to be high. He may be a little bit high on Brayden here.
You get the point that the moment Monet has that conversation, and the first person that pops in his head is Tariq, it's because he's jealous of Tariq. That's why Tariq is the first thing that pops in his head. And for him to go on campus and take those two white gentlemen off of it and do what he did, it shows just how much of a loose cannon Kane is. Like, we're going to have to start having a conversation. Is he a liability to them? Because this was a move that would make you a liability to even think of doing something that's stupid. And you did it all just to get at Tariq. No other reason. Like the whole, I'm your big brother. Nick, in the first episode, you were getting head in a bathroom from your boy's girlfriend. Like, you have no place to judge anybody on what they do here. But as it pertains to him possibly having more respect for Brayden, I don't think it's respect. I think
manipulation, pawning.
Yes. He can control him. He learned from that car ride with him and Tariq, when Tariq broke everything down to him, that he couldn't control Tariq. And because he couldn't, and he possibly thinks he can control Brayden, that's the him admiring him. That's when it comes through. It shines through in those moments. But that's a bad thing, because then you're not looking for someone who can be independent like someone who is distributing product would want to do. You're looking for someone who you can control, because the other dude is someone who you think can take your place. And that's his issue. And that's a dangerous issue to have, especially in the power universe, because now it seems like he's mixing the stupidity of Tommy with what's my guy at the first couple seasons in Power, he eventually gets killed. Dang, never.
You're not talking about, like, did you say the first couple of seasons or first couple of episodes?
Is it first couple episodes? I want to say seasons. It's early in Power. He was another drug dealer. Yes, it is first couple seasons. It's one of the Mexican drug dealers. I cannot remember his name to save my life right now. He was reckless. He was reckless because he was jealous of Ghost.
Oh my goodness.
And I cannot remember his name. But for people out there, you're watching this, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to tell us
what they're going to Google it and be like, that person. Yeah,
exactly.
Why we do this live unscripted one cut.
But between him and Tommy, it's the recklessness of Tommy and the recklessness of him, and you get all of that in Kane. And that is the problem, as we see much later in the episode of him making another gigantic, stupid mistake, as people do who think they should be in charge.
Yeah, man, I love it. A lot of this episode I love was because of the dialogue. Like when when Brayden went up to the dudes, he tried to sell to him. He was like, "Well, how long have you been? How long have you been a cop?" I mean, Brayden comes off so. To be honest, he just comes off so white that like he didn't fit the scenario, the setting. So like, of course, he was going to be really suspect, but he won him over. And like again, I'm just not sold that would ever happen realistically. Not in this day and age. Not with that much product. I mean, he said he made more money than what his parents would give him. So, and
first,
they're rich.
first things first. First things first. Who the hell would buy or want to smoke anything with Brayden? I would immediately think he like one of the cops from 21 Jump Street.
Never
like,
seen him.
You're not getting me. You're not setting me up that way. I'm not smoking with you, man.
Yeah.
And then you're with as much product as he had on him. He would have came across as a mark immediately to them. They were like, "Oh no, we're gonna take you out, buddy. Thank you, thank you for smoking with us, but we just gonna take everything else too."
Yeah,
let alone him just becoming the ultimate power has the only bad thing. Power has made it seem like it's extremely easy to sell drugs. Kids out there, please don't believe it's this easy to sell drugs. It is. I'm not going to say if I'm speaking from personal experience or not. I'm just going to tell you it is not this easy to sell drugs. Like we seen early in this season, what Tariq made like 50K in a day. And now we see Brayden saying, "Man, I made more here than I ever get from my parents." We know how rich they are. So you gotta imagine the amount of money he's talking about here.
Yeah. Now,
but it was a good scene. It was a funny scene.
And you got to imagine now that everybody starts saying like, "Oh, he wants to be a drug dealer now. He's really good at being it. He's the new Tommy." We're not going to have that conversation tonight. Hey, that's all I'm going to say.
Y'all going to have that. One white gentleman to the other white gentleman.
Yeah.
It is at this point, especially from this scene and everything that happens, I think it's more crystal clear he is not Tommy.
Yeah.
As Tommy didn't get by being a people person. Tommy got by being the muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Brayden, he has a gift, and they're showing it on this show of likability.
Yeah.
Do you know how important it is in a drug game to be likable? Like, you don't harm likable people. So while the scene seems far-fetched, just based off of the person he is, it's just the point that he looks the way he looks. And I don't mean him being white. I mean, he does not come across as a street guy. Nah. So that's what makes it a little bit unbelievable. But just based off of his personality, no, there are plenty of people in that industry that are like that are able to do the things that Brayden does. And I think this just helps build his character more moving forward in the show, and to show just how important he is to Tariq. Because a lot of people thought it was just he's his best friend. He may help a little bit with some of the technical stuff, but we completely left out like, no, the kid has an acumen for business, and he's running this like a business. He's literally running it the way James would have probably wanted to run it if he could have gotten the game as young as Tariq was. Had this kind of influence.
100%. I mean, what they're doing is genius, and like I don't even want to. I feel like by talking about this more kind of enables the idea that it is easy, because it's not. But like it's genius what they're doing, and I mean that goes to the point of where Diana. So when Diana found out that that's how Tariq was making his money, when she went and checked on Drew, and Drew Everett ended up getting that package, and they had the app, and they had their pills, and they had their symbol on it, and et cetera. And she thought, I'm gonna go to Tariq and I'm gonna let him know that I got this on him. And Tariq's like, it is what it is. We'll come back to this in a second, but he's like, it is what it is. And she's like, you know what? Fine. Since you probably got Lauren in your room, which you didn't, because they had rally. I'm gonna tell my mom because I'm mad at you, and this is gonna expose you, and she's gonna be mad at you. And then we've seen that Monet runs a business. She's not sitting out here trying to make best friends or anything. He's making the money. He's charging people, making 3 times the amount. Money is good. The weight and the product is being moved. That's it. So Diana and her little shenanigans about, I got something on him, mom, expose him. Look, here's the funny thing about that. Drew, with Drew saying, "Don't tell mom because I don't want that to mess up us being able to come on campus." Because Drew wasn't even thinking about none of that. He's just like, I'm not trying to mess up my visitation with my boo.
Exactly.
But Diana didn't care about his boo. Didn't care about the reality of it. Just like, I'm going to get back at Tariq because
she can't get her boo. That's what it is. She can't get her boo. So she like, nah, man, if I can't get none, you can't get none.
I'm really curious to see what's going to happen between Monet and Diana. I don't think this is detrimental between the two of them, but like, I know for viewers that's got to brush me raw because it's like, her approach is like super salty, and that doesn't help anything. But Monet, I'm wondering what is she gonna do here? I mean, Kane's obviously the bigger issue here, but like, you really got to do something to make sure that Diana keeps business as business and don't let pleasure get involved, where even where pleasure is not involved, she's still associating with it. Like, she's been salty this whole episode talking about Kane when she said, I didn't sleep with Tariq, and then he's like, and plus I don't like him like that, and he don't like me like that. Oh, really? Because it seems like you really do, since you got to go back and snitch to mommy about how he making the money, which is helping y'all organization.
Not only that, there's no one who is supplying drugs that care how much you're making of a profit off of it, as long as I get my money back. And that's why Monet is 100% right, basically brushing her off. Like, so, like, do you not understand? All we care about is that we get our money. Yep. He could quadruple his profit. It still wouldn't matter as long as we getting our cut. That's all we care about. And it kind of highlights even more of why Monet is still running everything. I believe we kind of questioned it beforehand of why it passed on to one of the kids. And now we seeing all of their flaws. That's the beautiful part so far of this first season of Power Book 2, is that we got introduced to this family. And at first we kind of thought they had everything together. But slowly but surely we're seeing each kid has a flaw, and a huge one.
Keyword, kid. Is what I'm getting from this. Mm-hmm. We're seeing that they are still kids, and even Lorenzo telling like, one day you're going to replace her and you'll be the man. I mean, again, when you say you're going to be the man, that doesn't always just translate into you being the top person. That just means that you have matured yourself into being a man. Mm-hmm. Because right now you're doing kid things.
We see the difference between them and Tariq. Someone who had to grow up a little faster than they did, because we saw him make these kid mistakes in the previous series. Now we're seeing him make some of the worst decisions in the world because you big and you mad at Tariq, and then you're gonna go to mommy. And I am still utterly confused what she expected Monet to say. Did she expect her to say, oh my God, I can't believe he's making triple of the profit. We need a bigger cut. That ain't how that work. That ain't how that work. And she's been straight, again, if we go back to, I think, episode 5, right at the end, that little moment between Monet and Tariq, when she said, my Nick. Like, I think she started fully understanding then that, okay, not only does he know how to handle business, I'm pretty sure he's making a hell of a profit off of what he's doing. Because he can come and supply and pay us quickly. You don't get stuff on consignment and then not be able to pay it. The point that he is paying it, and now you've informed her that he's making triple of the profit off of it. If I was her, what that would mean to me is to get him more product. Because if you can make triple off of it, that means you're moving it so fast. So I can get rid of my damn whole supply at a time only through you. I think that will be interesting to see going forward, if maybe she becomes his Lobos.
Yeah.
Or Lorenzo. I'm sorry, Lorenzo becomes his Lobos.
I'll even throw you another one. I mean, next episode is going to be right now. Next episode will confirm if this is to be true or not. But with Kane going back to mom, talking about what's up with Brayden and Trace, and she already knew because of Ramirez or whatever. But like, I wonder if you put that all together, Kane saying like, I'm not gonna say he got street cred, but he's earning street cred by what he did. So we can trust him that he's running with Tariq, and that's running operative, is lucrative and everything. Everyone's working there. And then Romero's coming back saying, well, these two dudes are loaded and whatever, they're Westlands. So, they're good. You know what I mean? If they got an iron clout on that campus. I wonder if Monet's ever going to think like, he might be a valuable asset just as well to bring directly in. And I would send Kane up Schitt's Creek. if the dude you just vouch for just hop step right over you.
I think we could see her possibly testing just how close Brayden and Tariq are. We already know it on the show.
Yeah.
But from her perspective, she may want to test to see, like, whose back does Brayden really have? And when she finds out he fully, like, Tariq and him are as close as it can get, then it will hurt Kane even more.
Yeah. And then the big question is, obviously, when is Riley going to be exposed? She's so reckless. She's always in Tariq's stuff. Seen him mess with his phone, looking through his notebook. I wonder because they're together. Brayden and Riley are together. If I ever call him Braylon or whatever, it's Brayden. I know, but it just sometimes comes out whatever. If Brayden and Riley are officially a couple, it's going to be curious to know because she's a liability. She's just, first of all, I didn't even think she could be a chess player. So I was very surprised with her being able to play chess. But like Brayden, who she claims is so innocent, isn't into anything, as he does show on surface, just a party boy.
He is just as guilty as Tariq. There's literally no difference here.
And that's the question. Now we know that Uncle Nancy has exposed what Tariq may potentially be in, say he's under investigation, whatever. He said, don't tell Brayden. They, as we know now, for the next episode, they went back to her room, to her apartment. At some point, what's going to end up happening, because we can ensure that Brayden and Tariq are like that. I mean, they're so in sync, even with the chess piece being knocked down and Brayden being missing. He was just like, it got to be Kane. So symbolic, but they're just so connected and friends, which I thought was really dope seeing. But once Riley exposed that Tariq is being investigated because she has loose lips, she's instantly he's instantly going to tell him. And the question is going to be, well, how are they going to find out who she is connected to? Is the question. And what happens when they find out that everything that they're doing is incomplete? Now she's a complete liability to everything that they're doing. Does he put love aside for the business?
Yeah. I think so. Because at that point, with Brayden, it's going to be, she was using him this entire time.
Oh, for sure.
And that's what's going to click in his head. Like, one, it ain't going to be hard. In all honesty, they find out and they think she's the lead. You look up her name. Everything else will draw the picture for you. So, and we know she's going to talk. She's clearly going to talk. Like, that's obvious. But the moment she talks, I think she's going to be the beginning of the end of the downfall for Sachs.
Yeah. I can't believe it's going to be her finally.
I think we're going to wrap up the Tasha in jail stuff a lot sooner than I thought. I thought this could go on into like season 2. I think we're going to get to the point where this ends in season 1. And it's going to end because of Riley. And I don't know if it's going to end because of Riley's death or something. And she ends up flipping on Uncle Nancy.
That's what I've been calling the entire time. That's what I call. You know what I think? And there's two things. We know Blanca wants to get Sachs still now that she's been suspended. So that's her. That's her.
One of the most wicked cops on power. I just got to say that every time because you clearly was defending her.
Ignored. But with Brayden now being money happy by making it his own, and once she gets to see him bringing in the money, it all works the same way. Holly and Tommy. Holly never had nothing. All of a sudden, it's just like, oh, I have purpose now, and it's really lucrative. And I love you so much, so I don't care.
Only difference is Riley ain't. She's not coming from a broke family.
That's true. What?
Her family. Sax may be broke, but
Okay.
them other relatives didn't look too broke.
Yeah, but
Oh, Holly came
again,
from a white trash type of family. Not only broke, she came from a white trash type of family.
but she's also an outsider to her family. Like her style, everything about her doesn't fit that. That's why she was so happy to be on campus, because she's like, this is my life. I mean, she fell in love with this dude off of like 2 parties. So,
Yeah,
and I almost forgot about this. The fact that, because she's so loose lips, in case y'all aren't really convinced that she's loose lips, she literally told Tariq that I was the one that spiked your drink. So, that's
all the trust for Tariq is gone.
Yeah. And Tariq brain, and I think that's the slow burn. Tariq knows, but he can't tell us he knows, because that's a revelation that needs to occur over episodes. We need to see him slowly understand what's happening. Why Brayden is also slowly understands happening till this happens. Oh, snap. All right, we got something for that. And that's when we're going to see that true bond between the two of them, which is going to be dope. And I can't wait to see how that happens. Now we got to talk about the biggest thing now here for the episode. Now, Kane, a hothead, through in and throughout. They had the most traditional Black family household argument that I've ever seen, where the son or the kid thinks now he's grown and he's going to do it out on his own, whatever it may be. And he puff up his chest. Diana tries to come in and intervene, pushes involved, which ultimately elbows Monet. He extends his hands out for Monet. Monet is like, nah. So he goes back to dad to tell dad, like, hey, man, I'm just, and he already knows because he's so connected. But the thing is about this is that, once he got his ass beat by the 3 cops and he got that receipt, the question is now, from what's like from next week's, glimpse, I don't see him settling back into his role because he's a hothead. And I don't think an ass whooping is going to make him be at peace, especially with Lorenzo giving him words like, you need to follow her because one day you'll take her place. And I'm pretty sure he knew that this entire time, that maybe one day you'll take his peace. But don't sound too convincing when your own mom is basically never saying she don't have trust in you. That's why she don't keep you roll. That's why Tariq is just bungee corded past you in ranks, sort of say. So the question is, now you guys ask me, where do we see this going now? Dad obviously doesn't trust him. I mean, I won't say trust him, but like
Dad
put him on notice.
Dad is obviously lying to him. Keep in mind, we had an episode earlier this year where Lorenzo said or asked her about Drew and said Drew is the one who's going to run everything. She brought up Kane's name and he said Kane is a hothead. So he understands Kane is a hothead. I think he gave him lip service and he's waiting to see if he falls back in line. It's going to end up being a situation where if you don't fall back in line, I want to know, are they willing to go to the extent of one of them killing Kane for not falling in line? That would be the most power thing to do, because at this point he's too reckless, too reckless. That whole fight with him and Monet, again, as you said, typical Black fight, but it also shows the issues that Kane has, and it's all anger. And it's all anger because he feels he's being passed up, not just by Tariq, but by Drew too, and Diana at times, because he feels like she's getting too much attention. And he let it all boil over. He's been thinking about the cop and his mom. He's thinking about everything but business. And when you think about everything but business, you end up reacting stupidly. The moment she said, nah, he should have known then what was going to happen. Like you don't do something of that nature and not think it's going to be a consequence.
Yo, Monet was fresh this entire episode. Now, this one little thing I want to say before we wrap up this episode is when Ghost, James St. Patrick, was going to be what was the position he's running for? Because it wasn't just, he was going to be in the Democratic Party. Lieutenant Governor. Thank you. Yeah, Lieutenant Governor. And when he told Tariq to basically, admit to what he was going to do, that he will protect him, and Tariq was like, you want me to turn myself in, et cetera, et cetera. And like a lot of people wasn't for that. So I know like a lot of people wasn't happy about, the idea of him turning himself in. A lot of people questioning his judgment, saying, that makes him a bad dad, et cetera, et cetera. Now, let's take this into consideration. Now, we've seen what the Democratic Party could do. Stephen Alt, when they made that deal to get 2-Bit out of jail, because that was the deal, 2-Bit helped Sachs. Then they'll get him out of jail. 2-Bit obviously screwed Sachs and worked with McClain.
Royally.
But they got him out of jail because Stephen made that call, made it work. Bada boom. Somebody was supposed to spend a lot of time in jail, didn't. I'm just saying, if James St. Patrick was in this position, these things could happen. That's just what we're seeing on display with how power logic work in politics. So,
hey man, they have made the Democratic Party the most corrupt and crooked party humanly possible. It's amazing that they chose the Democrats and said, yeah, everybody else want to do the other side. We're going to make it the Democratic side that does this type of stuff.
So, yeah. But anyway, this is going to do it for the review. I had a little hiccup in my connection, but it's all good. I'll make sure to get it all spliced up, everything right, just in case anybody knows a little bit of a hiccup really quickly in that. But we'll be back each and every week for our review of Power. So we'll be back next week for episode 7. Thank you for tuning in for this one tonight, folks, and we'll catch you all next week.